CBS New York, new electric shock treatment for ADHD.
Now, for the first time, a small battery-powered device offers a non-drug treatment. It's a small electrode patch connected to a battery-powered stimulator. It's worn on the forehead, usually overnight, and that triggers branches of the sensory trigeminal nerve. It seems that those low-level electrical impulses travel along the nerves deep into the brain, where they're thought to interact with nearby brain structures that affect hyperactivity. The head of the Brain and Behavior Research Foundation says, while it's not clear how this affects hyperactivity, we do know that behavioral brain circuits are complex.
And by affecting those circuits, sometimes with electrical stimulation, as is the case with this device, we can therefore affect the illness itself.
Double-blind studies of the device in 62 children ages 7 to 12 found a 44% improvement in ADHD symptoms. It's not a cure, but it offers a non-drug aid for ADHD treatment.
I think that's the key, non-drug aid.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'd be kind of scary. Zapping brains.
Yeah.
It's bad. What's the word? It's bad imagery. It's bad.
That's true.
It just looks bad.
It just sounds like
it sounds like lobotomizing
therapy or something.
Yeah, it sounds like the next step's lobotomizing children.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. This actually might work, according to research.
Well, it's not as effective as psychotropics. So he said that it was 44% effective, but that should have been clarified to compared with psychotropics, so medication.
Mm-hmm.
And there may be some bias because the parents who were in this study, they want to get their children off of medication, so they're looking for any sort of alternative therapy.
Yeah.
And they do say that the side effects of this are basically none, at least as far as been shown.
We don't know long term.
Yeah, like they kind of mentioned, these electrical impulses of the brain are very complex. That's one of our great frontiers as a brain.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
We'll just keep studying, and I think for anyone looking for a drug alternative, though, it may be promising.
Yeah. 11 Alive. World Health Organization says no screen time for babies.
Message is no screen time when it comes to babies. Now, it's a little different for kids under 5. They say 1 hour a day is their recommended guideline for that, but the caveat is less is better. And this is the first time we've actually heard from the World Health Organization when it comes to screen time recommendations for kids. And they didn't really get into the potential harm of too much screen time, but this was part of an overall guideline in terms of better sleep, more activity.
Very good. Comment from Twitter. It's pretty funny.
Now, critics say they didn't really account for the context and the content of screen time. So some people say that should be taken into account as much as quantity. But you can see some of the comments coming in. Terry talking about kids being glued to screens in restaurants and having zero human interaction. But other comments coming in says it depends on the child. This tweet says, my child isn't 3 yet, can already count, knows the alphabet. And actually they are using the iPad to teach the child to read.
They also used to use something called books to teach children how to read. Oh.
Well, I guess I was kind of surprised that they just came out with it now. The American Academy of Pediatrics, they have long recommended that children under 18 months should not have any screen time, and then toddlers should only have an hour.
Yeah, and BBC, no sedentary screen time for babies. Same thing. Details: be physically active several times a day, including at least 30 minutes tummy time, laying on their front. No sedentary screen time. 14 to 7 hours sleep a day, including naps for newborns, reducing to 12 to 16 by 4 to 11 months. Should not be restrained for more than an hour at a time.
Well, I was just thinking of tummy time. Won't that end poorly for your smartphone? Because babies usually fall in tummy time.
Yeah, it's true.
Or are they going to be glued to the iPad during tummy time? I'm kind of confused.
Their head will be in the iPad. Yeah. And it could be a game where they just move their head around. Oh,
hey, that's a good idea.
HealthyTalkShow.com/support.
And on the topic of babies.
And I click something. Pediatrics, sleep-related infant suffocation deaths attributable to soft bedding, overlay, and wedging. They did a cool video, so we're just going to let them talk about it.
Cool.
My name is Alexa Irk-Lambert, and I'll be presenting findings from our recent paper published in Pediatrics called Sleep-Related Infant Suffocation Deaths Attributable to Soft Bedding, Overlay, and Wedging. Unintentional suffocation is the leading cause of injury death among infants younger than 1 year in the United States. 82% of these deaths are attributed to accidental suffocation and strangulation in bed, which result from hazards in the sleep environment and are preventable. CDC created the Sudden Unexpected Infant Death, or SUID, case registry and classification system to better understand the trends and characteristics associated with SUID, including suffocation. This study describes SUID cases that occurred from 2011 through 2014, classified as explained suffocation per CDC's SUID case registry classification system.
Cool. I have the mechanisms.
Each case was assigned one or more mechanisms to which the suffocation was attributed, including soft bedding, when an infant's airway is obstructed by soft or loose blankets, sheets, pillows, or stuffed toys; overlay, when a person rolls on top of or against an infant obstructing their airway; and wedging, when an infant's airway is obstructed as a result of being stuck or trapped between two objects. 14% of SUIDs in the case registry from 2011 through 2014 were classified as explained suffocation. 69% were attributed to soft bedding, 19% to overlay, and 12% to wedging.
Wow. That's
Public service announcement.
yeah, here we go. Limitations and safety.
Our study had a few limitations. There may have been suffocation cases that lacked the high level of detailed evidence necessary to be categorized as explained suffocation using the classification system, which would have led to an underestimate of explained suffocation cases.
So that means there's more.
Yeah,
Okay. There's more cases.
potentially.
Also, we lacked the comparison group necessary to quantify SUID risk associated with infant sleep practices. The majority of explained suffocation deaths were attributed to soft bedding, and infants in all ages were vulnerable to hazards of unsafe sleep environments. Educating caregivers about safe sleep recommendations can prevent future deaths. These include placing the baby to sleep on his or her back for all sleep times, using a firm sleep surface such as a crib, keeping soft bedding out of the baby's sleep area, and having the baby in the parent's room, not the parent's bed.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah.
There you go. What'd you think?
Right. Yeah, good.
She's a great
Good
presenter.
PSA.
She spoke very well.
Chat thought she was a little.
Well, she's
Well,
probably
well.
nervous and she's reading from a teleprompter.
Yeah, that's true. She's probably a
Yeah,
scientist.
she's probably a scientist. You see a little ring light in her eyes. BBC. The Lego bricks designed for children with sight loss. Here we go.
Lego has developed Braille bricks. They're designed to help children with sight loss learn. The bricks' studs reflect letters in the Braille alphabet. Some 8% of people with sight loss in the UK use Braille. Lego's aim is to distribute bricks for free to selected institutions by 2020.
Cool.
Yeah, that's
Braille
super
bricks.
cool.
Legos are always cool. Here are
Wow.
the benefits. What?
Oh, I was going to say I was shocked by that statistic.
Yeah, 8% use Braille.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here are the benefits.
The benefits of the bricks is that if you make a mistake with the Lego bricks, you simply reassemble it. That is super important. So if children are going to learn, they need to be prepared to take risks. Taking risk is about getting things wrong. And if you're afraid to get things wrong, then your learning is not going to accelerate.
Good philosophy.
Yep. Going back to the Braille thing, here's someone who uses Braille and she's going to tell you about it.
I use Braille all the time. It's so much easier for me, and honestly, Braille's invaluable. Like when I'm revising for my A-levels, I like reading Braille textbooks as well, because sometimes it's just an easier way of taking it in to physically read it than to listen to my voice speech software read it for me.
Faster.
Yeah,
Braille's-
that's really interesting.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's like you always say, Robert, I don't know how you watch and listen to so much stuff. I just want to read it.
Yeah.
Just give me the transcript. I'll read it. You could listen and watch whatever you want. I'll just read it.
Well-
And
Does the clip mention spelling?
no, it does not.
So that's another benefit is a lot of people that just listen to the voice to or text to voice, that they don't know like what are separate words or how to spell things. So that's why it's really important to learn Braille.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then from the BBC documentary, Lego bricks, Braille not in isolation. Here's somebody who's warning against teaching Braille in isolation.
Ryan Compton began to lose his sight aged 5. He says Braille should not be taught in isolation, as it is limited compared to new technology.
It's difficult as a skill. If you imagine you go into a building and you want to locate where the Braille is, you've got to know where it is in the first place. So that's where I struggle with it. It's all good organisations or departments or institutes having these things, but how relevant are they? Do the people in the organisations know how to use it, when to use it, and what to do in that situation?
Yep.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Nothing in isolation, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Moving on.
Yeah. It was super cool.
Yeah,
I don't know,
it was a really cool story. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
Legos
that's
are always
important that you can make mistakes, misspell, and practice your spelling.
You have to have that eraser.
Yeah. And I think it's good too because it opens it up for everyone to kind of feel comfortable learning, because there are different levels of blindness, and some people can start off with okay vision and they can read, and maybe they don't learn Braille initially, but then as their sight, it gets progressively worse, maybe they would like to learn Braille since they can't read.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Hey, I would like to learn.
Yeah. We could. NPR. The Affluent Homeless. A sleeping pod, a hired desk, and a handful of clothes.
Stephen T. Johnson works in social media advertising, and he spends most of his days using things he does not own.
I took an Uber to Equinox to shower before we met, and then went to Podshare, and then came to WeWork.
Stephen took a ride share to get to the gym he uses. He does not own a car. At the gym, he rents a locker. He uses the gym's laundry service because he does not own a washing machine. He doesn't even have an apartment, actually.
Exactly.
We were going to meet at Podshare, this co-living space where Stephen rents a bed. Just a bed in a big open room with about a dozen other people, but it was too loud. So we went to his co-working space, a place called WeWork, where Stephen rents a desk. WeWork is also an NPR sponsor.
Native ad. That's convenient.
Yeah.
That's convenient, NPR. Dang, it's too noisy in here. We got to go to WeWork.
That's crazy.
Stephen owns so little.
That's what's great. When you don't own things, you don't have to keep track of them. You just show up.
Stephen owns so little, he can carry most of his stuff in his hands.
I actually gave up my backpack that was the smallest I got down to, and I gave that up 2 months ago.
Stephen also only owns 2 outfits. Well, 2 of the same outfit.
Under Armour brandless sport shoes, Lululemon pants, Lululemon socks, Lululemon shirt, Lululemon underwear.
Wow.
Those are really expensive brands.
Yeah. Well, it's the affluent homeless.
Yeah.
More digital stuff.
The fact is that we can't afford to sort of hoard anymore.
That's Skylar Wang. He's a PhD student at UC Berkeley. He studies the sociology of the sharing economy. And he thinks one of the biggest factors in this economic shift is younger people buying fewer houses and choosing to live in dense urban areas and rent smaller places. Part of this is houses just being more expensive than they were for our parents. But when you're more okay with renting the place you live in, it's maybe a lot easier to accept a life where you rent and share a whole lot more. Wang does point out, even if young people own less, they still have a lot of stuff.
They do? Even if they own less, they have a lot of stuff?
Stuff that isn't tangible.
I talked to a lot of minimalists. They're the type of people who love to couch surf, right? They own like 30 things. But then the interesting thing is that they hoard digitally.
They hoard digitally.
They have tons of photographs. They have thousands and thousands of Instagram posts.
It's still an economy of stuff. It's just different stuff. It's experiences.
He even said a bunch of Instagram posts. So they're storing stuff that they don't even have control over?
I know, at least get a Flickr account or
Instagram's
something.
going to take down your freaking posts. Yeah. We had a Twitch streamer friend that we know that her Instagram got deleted just for no reason. Yeah. She's not doing anything bad. It just randomly got deleted one day.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah. Very strange. how companies are adapting.
Even IKEA is starting to lease its furniture. The outdoor chain REI announced recently that it's vastly expanding its rental program for things like camping.
That's sad.
Yeah, it kind of depresses me. You can flip over to my screen too, because these pod shares, man, they are not cheap. So they're $40 a night, and this is for a bed out that you're sharing with a bunch of other people. And then this WeWork thing, I was looking at just prices in the LA area. I mean, for a desk that's not even yours, $350 a month.
Yeah.
That's
a shared desk.
Yeah, this plus the pod share space.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you could afford an apartment. Even in downtown LA, it comes pretty close.
Maybe, but they don't want it.
I don't get it.
And digging in on mine now, we got really curious about these WeWork spaces, so a reporter with Medium wrote a piece about WeWork location in Dallas, Texas, situated in a Class A office building. The first thing I noticed was how small the offices were. In the United States, the average employee needs between 60 to 100 square feet of office. The typical executive's office is around 150 square feet. The typical CEO is around 400 square feet. At WeWork, the individual office is just 36 square feet, a third of what typically is provided to an employee of a standalone office building. You need to step up to a 4-person office to get the same square footage you get in a normal office. Beyond the tight accommodations, what struck me next was just how jam-packed the space is. They don't waste an inch of floor space. The inclusion of glass on almost every wall helps you hide just how tight the quarters are. I've been to the Austin location, and while it is tight, the windows really do help let light filter through the space and make it seem less crowded. I've included floor plans below on the article if you want to go check it out. So if you're like me, you're wondering how much the small office, and there are very few left, is $700 a month in Dallas, Texas, and the 4-person office, these are going fast too, is $2,500 a month. I inquired about the 30-person office and was told it's $22,000 a month. For that rate, you get use of a printer, coffee, beer, internet, utilities, reception, and cleaning. Woo!
All I gotta say is that better be darn good coffee.
Oh, man.
That's outrageous.
If we had a time machine, you just buy land.
Did
just
I
buy
miss
space
something?
somewhere.
Why are these things so expensive, though? Jeez.
Because they can be. I really don't know. Starbucks, if it is, I'm so down.
You know,
from the chat.
I bet the people would bring.
It might be Starbucks. It might actually.
Oh no, I thought you were gonna say that the people would bring their Starbucks and there'd be free coffee.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that on cruise ships.
Oh man,
there's a Starbucks and free cruise coffee, and people are buying the coffee from Starbucks so you can get the free.
Maybe they'll put a Starbucks in the WeWork. In
addition
to, there
do
you
a profit
go.
share with Starbucks. That's a good idea. Thank you so much for watching. For more Healthy Talk Show, please consider subscribing to our podcast over at healthytalkshow.com/subscribe. It's free. Twitter and Instagram at Healthy Talk Show, drop the W. We record the podcast live Mondays at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time over at healthytalkshow.com/live. Love and light.